Hello, my name is Cam Hall. I'm the head of news here at Raw 12:51 AM, and today I am joined by arguably the biggest celebrities on campus at this moment in time. Of course, it is our University Challenge team, victorious on Monday, the 5th of April, winning 195 to 140 against Magdalen College, Cambridge, alongside all of their other victories throughout the competition. It's the first time a team from Warwick has won University Challenge since 2007, and I'm pleased to say I'm joined by them today. And I suppose as it's the University Challenge team, there really is only one way I can introduce them. And so, with an average age of 22, here is Warwick's victorious University Challenge team.
Hello, I'm Richard Pollard. I'm from Cheshire and I'm studying history and politics.
Hello, I'm George Braves. I'm from Brighton and I was doing a PhD in physics.
And the captain?
Hi, I'm Andrew Rout. I'm from Bearston in Kent and I'm studying for a PhD in maths.
And finally?
Hello, I'm Owen Burrell. I'm from Lancaster and I'm studying for a Masters in English Literature.
I don't think you guys realise just how much I enjoy doing that. Like, I feel like Jeremy Paxman already. But firstly, I think on behalf of everyone at the university, immense congratulations for your achievement. Just going around you very quickly, what was it like? What was your emotion when you realised that you won the competition? So Richard, we'll start off with you.
It's hard to really say. It's like, wow, the gong went, and having played so many games, we sort of got used to, the whole thing, the gong would go, they'd, sort everything out and then we'd go. But of course, this time it was a little bit different. So yeah, it was kind of massive, but also we, hadn't really got our heads around it at the same time. Okay,
George, what about yourself?
I think just surprise, mainly. I don't think any of us really expected to win at any point during the whole process. Indeed, we went into most games thinking this will probably be the last one, and then eventually it wasn't, and we'd won it somehow.
Okay, Owen, I'm going to come to you next.
I think, so there's a scene at the end where they show us clapping the Magdalen team and Magdalen team clap at us, and I think that's the thing. It was a really good quiz. I can't speak for the other three of them, but I got quite into the quiz itself. So then when that was over, there's a shock of it being over so much as being, having won, let alone winning the final. The whole thing's really quite disorientating in the first place. You get really into it, sort of tunnel visioned. And I think just had enjoyed the whole process, really.
And of course, Andrew, as captain, what did that mean to you to not only win, but be the winning captain as well, and get, of course, to lift the trophy very victoriously?
I mean, yeah, that was, like everyone said, it was really surprising that we'd won. And actually, it was a little bit sad that it was only me who could lift the trophy. It was, A, I was the centre of attention, which is never a nice place to be. And B, it was sad that I couldn't share that experience with my team, having gone through the entire thing with them and them supporting me and me supporting them through the whole thing.
Well, it certainly was a team effort, that's for sure. And before we go on to that, firstly, obviously, the competition was filmed a year ago, and it was filmed during the pandemic, during the first wave of the pandemic. And obviously, you've had to go through most of this year at university, not telling anyone exactly what has been going on, and exactly when people would ask you about the competition, keeping very tight lips. You came on my breakfast show last term, and again, I had no clue that you had won from talking to you. So, I mean, how did you manage to keep the secret? I mean, Richard, you are in one of my seminars. We talk about this all the time. Never once did you let the secret go. How did you do it?
I don't know, really. I just didn't say. I guess it's it sounds kind of silly to say it, but yeah, just I guess it's when you've muddled through, it's sort of almost as if you don't believe it yourself, so it's kind of easy not to let it slip.
What about yourself, Owen?
I think it's a lot easier to downplay it. So you want to convince everyone that you've done terribly. Then the next match will be your last. And I think, as Richard said, that's how we felt going through it. So it's much easier to lower people's expectations and then let them be surprised, because I think your friends want you to have done well, so they want to interpret everything as really positive. And they're like, oh, that must mean they've won. So you've got to downplay everything. Any suggestions to be, well, it didn't go very well, did it? At least we got the chance to.
honestly, if I was in your position, I don't know how I would have done it. So credit to you there. Let's go back to that final now, because I mean, it's like many of your matches in the competition this year. You make a really good start, you then get pegged back, you then go on again, and then you start to get pegged back. And it was really, really tense watching you. I don't know if it was more tense watching than actually sort of taking part sort of in it. So, I mean, George, how did that feel for you, that final?
I tend to think, much like Owen said earlier, you do get this sort of you get into the zone so much, you kind of don't really think about how important it is. So, in a strange way, it isn't actually that tense once you get into it. I don't think, anyway.
Okay, Andrew, what about yourself? And obviously, as captain, were you watching the scoreboard a lot?
I mean, no, you kind of, like George said, the worst part is sitting around before the start of the final, because you're like, oh, we want to do well and we want to win, but ultimately we don't expect to. And then, like, in the game, you're just, you answer the questions that come. You can't do anything other than that. Other than maybe if you're ahead, you don't buzz quite as aggressively as if you would if you were 50 points down going into the last 2 minutes.
Did you feel that there was ever a moment in that final where you knew you had won?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I ever knew that we'd won. There were definitely some important moments that turned the game. The one that stands out to me is the Campbell-Bannerman, Bannerman-Campbell moment. That's when it kind of felt like, oh, maybe it's going to be our day, when they're as unlucky as that.
Well, absolutely. And of course, it's fair to say you had some very formidable opponents in Magdalen College, Cambridge, especially Davies, I believe it was, who was a very, very consistent buzzer throughout the game. Looking back at all of your matches throughout the competition, what one would you say was your most difficult? Owen, I'll come to you first.
I think statistically, the closest was Imperial. I think the second match against Imperial, I think I'm right in saying that, our semi-final. And I think emotionally, that was probably the closest as well, because we've beaten them once and having to beat them again, because if you're playing someone again, they really, really would like to beat you this time. They've lost you once and they come back fighting. So that was probably the tensest match, in the sense that it felt the closest. There was the most at stake, odd though that is compared to the final. So I think that was the one for me that felt the closest, the tensest.
Indeed, yeah, you played Imperial twice, of course, beat them both times, but both those games, again, the captain of Imperial, someone very good on the buzzer as well. I mean, Andrew, was Imperial, was that the toughest game for you as a captain?
I think that the Imperial game certainly felt the closest, the second Imperial game, that is. Because it kept going back and forth, it never really felt like we could break out into a lead. I think in other games, it always felt like we had a kind of dominant 5 minutes, whereas that one, it always felt like with Michael, they were always in the game because there was always he could buzz on any question, essentially.
Well, indeed. I mean, again, just from your perspective, but watching it for us, it was very tense throughout the competition. I want to ask you, obviously, there's a lot of games that you've played throughout the competition. There's surely some moments that have really stuck in your mind. So I want to go around to everyone now. What has been like your favourite moment from the competition this year? So, George, let's start off with you.
This is a difficult one. As you say, it's been quite a lot happened. I don't know, in many ways, just each buzz you get is almost equally good. There's always there's a sense of relief after you press the buzzer and then said the answer that you actually get something right. So there's always have this brief moment of worrying, oh no, what if I've just completely messed this up? So it feels like every correct answer is almost stands out as its own thing.
I mean, I know for many people watching it from home, just getting a question right is enough in itself. But obviously for you guys having to go through the whole quiz. Richard, same question to you. Is there any one moment that's really stood out for you throughout the competition?
I mean, as George says, I think, the whole there's a lot to choose from, but I think the point in our first round game against Wolfson, where we'd fight by halfway through, we'd managed to pull level. and we just sort of inched ahead. And you know, as George was just saying, there's always the possibility that, oh God, what if I've misheard the question? I've completely mucked everything up, and it's going to be dreadful. That I had a moment like that when I buzzed in with Jeremy Paxman talking about flag backgrounds. And you know, I hadn't really been fully paying attention to the question. So I just thought, so as I was buzzing, I was thinking, "Oh God, I've made a terrible mistake." And in the end, I got it right, and we sort of, you know, started to pull away a bit. So, you know, it sort of combines the sort of the mild terror at buzzing in, not being 100% sure, but also the relief at getting it right and it being at a critical moment.
Okay, and Owen?
I think I agree very much with George about every buzz has its own sort of adrenaline and worry concern, and so every correct buzz is, you know, its own moment of joy. But for me, there was the set of bonuses on Spivak in the final. I remember sitting there thinking, well, if I don't get these 3 questions right, I will be kicked out of the English department. They will not have me back, and I will be ashamed forever. So getting those 3, the relief of that, no, it's not Paxman's that I was worried about, but rather the department's. And so getting those 3 was such a relief. And I thought, oh, yes, you know, there's a reason I have a degree in English. There's a reason I'm on the team. So that for me was, you know, a real moment of relief, even though all the buzzers are great too.
Okay, Andrew?
Yeah, to echo what Owen said, there was a question in our semi-final, which was, I think the answer was Hamiltonian, and my PhD is essentially in Hamiltonian equations, so I may well have been disowned had I not got that. But yeah, like they said, pretty much every buzz has its own moments. I think my favorite buzz was the Mary Quant one, because it was just a complete random guess that happened to pay off, hence the wonderful laughter from the whole team when it happened.
Of course, there are many moments that have stuck out to viewers of your journey throughout the competition. I don't know if you've seen social media, some of the reaction to your victory, but there is one moment that has stood out more than others. I think you know what it is. I have to ask you about this. Andrew, how did you manage to forget your own teammate's surname?
Well, so I like to think that Owen and I are quite good friends. I don't generally call him Burrell. So, I mean, it's just, in the moment, it's very easy to forget something like that. And yeah, perhaps what I should have done is just got nominate Owen. But I mean, if you go back and watch our first round game, I do pretty much exactly the same thing with Richard. So, yeah.
And Owen, I've got to ask you as well, obviously, what was it like in that moment to know that your captain, the man who was stewarding your way through the competition, had, you know, forgotten one of the most important elements about yourself?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's one of the most important elements about myself. First of all, I was quite pleased he remembered what I knew and to look to me for certain questions. I think that, honestly, that's the captain's job. I don't care if he knows my name or not. I didn't really remember it happening. And then when it came on TV, and then everyone afterwards was up in arms about it, I'd forgotten that it had even happened, because it was, you know, in the moment, it's so easy to do. We don't call each other by our surnames because we are friends who talk to each other normally with our first names. So I don't know, a lot was made of it, because I think probably because the University Challenge is seen as quite a formal thing, and you know, you introduce yourself with your first name and your surname, but we always took it very casually and we enjoyed every match. So I think we never took that formal side very seriously. So I was not really bothered that he forgot my surname. I was just pleased that he remembered I was there and I had the answer.
I mean, I feel that's what it's all about. It's about enjoying the competition, and obviously winning it is very good as well. But it sounds obviously you guys not only had a fantastic run throughout the competition, but you've really developed a bond between the 4 of you as well, which again, I think it's something that's certainly very nice to see, and something that we hope to see continuing throughout the next few years. I've got to ask you guys very quickly, there will be many people now anyway who would have wanted to go on the University Challenge team, but especially after seeing that it can be done at Warwick. I've got to ask you, if there's one bit of advice you would give to anyone who wants to apply for the University Challenge team, what would that advice be? So, George, I will come to you first.
I think the main thing I would say, and I think I said something like this last time I was on, is just focus on the things you enjoy. Don't worry about the things you don't know. Just enjoy knowing and learning more about things you do know and like. It's how you'll have the most fun, and it's probably how you end up knowing the most stuff as well in the end.
Okay, Richard?
I mean, in the first instance, I would say try. You never know how it'll go if you don't actually sign up and go for it. I didn't seriously expect to be picked when I went to trials. I needed something to do, and then I got called back. So, if you're thinking of doing it, go for it, because you never know how well it'll turn out. I didn't expect to get picked, let alone win the whole thing.
Okay, Owen?
I think, echoing both of those, no knowledge is extra knowledge. There are questions about literally everything. Those vampire films, they seem to us obscure, but I'm sure to some people they're exactly what they're into. So no knowledge is extra knowledge. Everything you know could come up, might come up, is really useful to know, and other people might not know it. So never think that you don't know the right stuff or you don't know enough stuff. It's just useful to know. The whole thing about quizzing is celebrating all the diverse things that people know.
I must say, there was one moment in the final that I particularly enjoyed, which was you, Andrew, on that vampire question. Just very sort of relaxed, going, yeah, this is another one of the popular culture questions we don't know. Just very matter of fact. I really enjoyed that. Just obviously your reaction to that, but also one bit of advice that you would give to anyone as the winning captain of the University Challenge who wants to join the team.
I mean, so yeah, my reaction to that is I think we all knew that our main weakness, or one of our main weaknesses, was our lack of any knowledge of popular culture. So I think it just made us laugh that we kept getting questions and we kept not getting any of them right. So in terms of advice, everyone's pretty much stolen what my advice was going to be. If you want to try out, maybe try coming along to some of the Warwick Quiz Society practice sessions. I think they're really helpful. And practice does really make perfect. I mean, it took me years and years to get onto a team. So yeah, that's what my advice would be.
Well, one last time, Richard Pollard, George Braid, Andrew Rout, and Owen Burrell, congratulations from everyone here at Raw News, but also from the University of Warwick on your fantastic victory in University Challenge this year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that here was the University Challenge team. If you want to keep up to date with all of our content, not just on Raw News, but on Raw 12:51 AM as well, follow us across all of our social medias on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and see our videos on YouTube as well. You can view us on Linktree, where you can get links to all of our audio and visual content. Hope to see you very soon.
Across campus, online, and on 12:51 AM. This is your student radio station.